Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, and welcome back to the Psych Legal Pop podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm Brooke Brigham, I'm the attorney.
And I'm Tess Brigham, I'm the therapist.
Welcome back to Sister Wives Rewind. We are on season 6, episode 17, Tragedy in the Family.
Yes, and I have a confession to make.
Okay.
I cried twice. Twice I cried.
Wow.
I was really tearing up. I've seen this episode before and I knew what was going to happen. I knew the stories, but I teared up. I'll tell you.
When we get
I can tell you what they were, but we can get there. I can tell you now. I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal. I just think when you watch these shows, you just think about your own life and your own situations and all of that. So I think I was, in this episode, Cody's, we hear about his brother dying and his father dying. And with his father, just the fact that I just started thinking about our father and, oh my gosh, and this is, your parents are going to pass away, but you go through all these various stages in your life, right? Where when you're young, like you go to a bunch of weddings because everyone's getting married and then everyone's having babies and then divorces happen. And then, and what I've noticed in my life especially in the last 5 years is, right, more and more friends of mine have parents that are passing away and are getting really sick. And we're very, very lucky. I mean, because both of our parents are still alive. But it's going to happen. Yeah. It's imminent. And it was just sort of like, we got to go see Dad.
I know. Well,
it was Cody talking about like having an indication of going to see his father. Yeah. And not doing it.
No, I know. And we do. We need to put a date on the calendar. Yeah. Like we need to go see him or we'll never see him. Yeah. And, I was talking to one of Mom's friends yesterday who lives in another state. And, she was asking me about, if she was okay. And we were talking and she's like, yeah, I really need to come visit. I'm like, yeah, you do. Yeah. I just kind of said it like that. I mean, like, you do need to come visit. Yeah. Because, this is you get to that point where it's like, you can't put things off anymore. You need to go visit the person. And I've been thinking a lot about that too. Just the fact of like, I've always leaned on my parents for support so much and they've given me so much support. And to think about not having that is scary.
And then it'll just be you and I.
It'll just be
dun, dun, dun. Which is what our parents, if we ever fought, our parents were always, both of them, even our father, who's so like, do what you want, who cares? I hate everybody. Have they both been like, this is your sister. You need to get along when we're gone. It's just the two of you. You're going to have to figure all this stuff out together. So be nice to each other.
So we cannot have a falling out.
Yes, we can. And even what would happen to the podcast?
What would happen to us?
Yes.
God.
mean, I will say, not to get too mushy, but I think we're both very lucky because we're both pretty responsible people. Like, we don't drop the ball on it for each other, which I think makes it a lot better. I can't imagine if I had a sibling who was like a giant flake or a drug addict or, just someone who would tell me, oh, I'm going to do this, and then I'm not going to do it. It's like when we say we're going to do something, we do it, and it happens and it gets done. And I know you're not going to be weird. Sorry about anything, right? Like you can just trust it, which is nice. It's very, very nice to have that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Okay. What are you expecting to happen, Brooke?
No, I was trying to make a joke.
Oh,
it didn't go over.
Oh, like well. once they pass away, we'll be at each other's throats.
No, it's a bad joke.
Yeah. Well, our mother is she's prepared for everything. She's written everything out in that will or trust, which I think you probably put together for her.
Trust,
a trust like of how they're so about even Steven with everything with us that mom probably has everything lined up. Like no one's going to get more than someone else.
It's all just a 50-50 split of whatever is there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but anyway,
this was also a very emotional episode for Cody, and he got very vulnerable.
Yes, he did.
Talked about a lot of things, and it's hard to sympathize and empathize with Cody Brown, but somehow,
I felt for him. This was hard.
Yeah, this was one of those times. So anyway, let's get into it. Of course, we start out with 45 days till the commitment ceremony.
Yes, oh God.
And the mission statement is not finished.
Yes.
The backyard needs to be finished because they're going to hold it in the backyard.
And whose backyard?
Well, they don't have any walls. They took down there's no walls in between the houses because when they had them built, normally they would have walls separating the yards. But they wanted one big yard. But I'm unclear as to whose, probably Robin's. It's probably going to be kind of behind Robin's house, I'm sure. But they're going to put in grass and plants and...
Well, I wonder whose idea was it where they were like, we cannot find a venue. And then one of them said, wait a second, we can get TLC to pay for our backyard, like a renovation or like,
right. And it'll benefit the property.
Yeah. And it'll benefit the property. And then we'll just hold it at our house. Yeah. Or if they always knew that was going to happen. And then like going to all these venues was pointless.
Yeah. I don't know. Who knows? So they want to, part of the ceremony, they want to sign and they want to read and have everyone sign the mission statement. They want to plant a tree.
Mm-hmm.
So they have these event planners, Bree and Sean. And, basically they have a lot to do in 45 days.
Yeah. And Bree seems a little unfazed. I get the sense with Bree, like she's not one of these people that's like, oh, great, I'm going to be on TV. It was almost like, we usually have a year for these things, 45 days. And she was very direct. I thought she was just very direct with them. Like, okay, so what do you want here? What do you want there? Like, what's happening? She was not, like, oh, it'll be fine. It'll be great. She was like, I'm worried.
Yeah. Yeah. But she seems
she took the job.
Confident and in control. Yeah. And so Cody has this vision of having a string quartet playing Pachelbel's Canon in D, which is a wedding song.
Yeah.
And it's his favorite song. It's that dun, dun, dun. Oh no, that's
which I'm sorry is I'm gonna some people are gonna be hurt. It's a little basic. Do you know what I mean? Like, do people even use that for their weddings? Because it's so overdone.
I hear it all the time.
Oh, really?
On like TV shows.
Yeah. But he wants it to play for like hours, and Janelle's like, no.
Yeah.
I am not doing that. Like, nobody wants that.
Yeah. And they say, again, they don't want it to be like a wedding, yet they're having wedding type flowers, a cake, formal wear, whatever. I mean, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Cody goes off on this rant where he says, he's tired of hiding their polygamy and tired of not letting it shine. And he says, damn it, I'm a polygamist. Come be my friend anyway. My hell. he's quite animated. And it's like, where did this come from? You are not hiding your polygamy. You are on a national TV show watched by millions of people. Everybody knows you're a polygamist.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
That made no sense to me.
Well, because everything is about him. Everything is about him and his lifestyle and the choices and being being out there and being the poster child and all of that.
The center of attention.
The center of attention. But none of it's about what does this mean and why are we doing this? What is the point of this? Like, I understand it's all about they're all together again, but
it's also a storyline.
Yeah, I know. They need storylines. Yeah. And this is a long season, this season 6. So
yeah, it's very long. Goes on and on. So then we switch gears and Cody starts talking about how it's been a very difficult summer. You know, in addition to truly getting very sick and almost dying. 4 months ago, his brother Curtis died in a motorcycle accident. And then a few months later, his father Win died of natural causes. Now, Curtis, there was an episode back, very early on. I think it might have been season 2 or 3.
3, probably.
Yeah, where Curtis and then his older brother,
like the oldest of all the
oldest
boys.
of the boys, I can't remember his name, and then the youngest, I think his name was Michael, came to visit, and so the oldest brother is also a polygamist,
and very serious, very serious,
very serious. And Curtis and Michael are not. And I don't know if there's any more brothers or that's all the brothers.
No, there are more. There are more.
Okay. Because Win had, I don't know what's the distribution of the mothers. Win had 10 children, including Cody. And obviously he and Cheryl never had children together.
So maybe he never had children with the second wife either.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, keep going. We'll get to it because I have some theories.
Okay. So, he describes Curtis as being a cowboy, warrior, poet. And they're going to go, the whole family's going to go up to Wyoming to check in on Janelle, Cody's mom, and Cheryl. Janelle's mom.
Yes.
And I guess it's only been 1 month since Truly got out of the hospital. So this all happened in the same, like you said, it was the same summer. Yeah, it was the summer because that's when Leon was going off to school. So this is really heavy. And again, we see Christine talking about how grateful she feels about Truly, and Cody's really struggling, missing his brother, even though he, believes in an afterlife and believes he'll, maybe see him again one day. He says it's really hard to think that he'll never talk to him again.
Yeah. Well, there's a saying about this, because I've certainly worked with clients who have lost siblings, where they say, when you lose a parent, you lose, when a parent passes away, you lose the past. When a child passes away, you lose the future. But when a sibling passes away, you lose the future and the past. You lose the history that you had with them and what the future is going to look like.
Yeah.
And
siblings are the longest relationship you'll ever have in your life. Yeah. You'll spend the most time on this, living on the planet together. So yeah, it is.
It is a big deal.
It is.
It really is. And I think that, it doesn't matter if there were 20 kids or 50 kids, it is a big deal to lose someone like that. And also in a very violent way, in a very abrupt, you have no, you can't. Both of these deaths. Both of these deaths were like rugs ripped out from underneath them. But Win, is sort of this typical, like, this is life and this is where it goes and all of that. With Curtis, it was very quick, very violent, very sudden. And, I think that obviously that affected Win because we see this a lot too, right? Like Carrie Fisher and Debbie Reynolds, or, you know, this happened on Steve's family too, where Steve's father died when Steve was 30 from cancer. His father was in his 50s and his mother was sick. And then the mother died like a couple months later. Like it was just, she wasn't doing well, but that was like enough for her to be like, okay, bye. You know,
his father's mother, his grandmother.
His father's mother. Yeah. She passed away and she was pretty sick. And Steve thinks that they didn't even really maybe tell her the extent of what's going on. She was sort of out of it and sick, but it was almost just this letting go. Like, okay, I don't want to be here anymore.
Wow. So, yeah. And he left behind a wife and little kids.
So they had kids together. Okay. Yeah. I didn't remember if they had kids.
Yeah. And his wife is Caleb Brush's sister.
Yeah. Maddie's and this is how Maddie meets because of this. This is how Maddie meets the brother.
Yeah.
So, wow. Or sees him again. I don't know, something like that. Yeah.
So then Cody explains how he was raised, LDS Mormon. His parents were Mormon. And at some point they got the calling to live plural marriage while Cody was on his mission. And Curtis did not follow in those footsteps. He was a born again Christian, and that caused a rift between he and Wynn, Curtis and Wynn.
So this was one of my theories about all this, right? Which is, so it sounds like, Cody always talks about how he comes back from this mission and his family is living a plural lifestyle. They're part of this new church, and that he, a year and a half later, gets a calling for it. But it sounds like, is it really a calling, or is it just like you felt like you had no choice because you had to stay in your dad's good graces?
Bingo.
Right? Yeah. Because Curtis, he said that because Curtis made a different choice, because Curtis said, I don't want to live this life, that suddenly they had this very strained relationship. It's like, why? Because it's so obviously, I think, and Cody talks about this, that Wynn was tough cookie and, probably wasn't warm and cuddly by any means. And, he cared about his kids, but it sounds like if you wanted dad's love and approval and to be in dad's good graces and to be accepted and loved, you better get on this train.
Yeah. You had to do what he was interested in. He didn't care about, Cody gets into this later. He didn't care about Cody's athletic accomplishments.
No.
He cared that he wanted him to be interested in working on the ranch.
Well, and also being a polygamist. So living a plural lifestyle like he was. And so I wonder how strained things were. Was it like, did Wynn was he dismissive of Curtis? Like if you did not follow the family, what we're all doing, I wanted to learn more about that. Like, what did that look like between Wynn and Curtis? Because if so, we're seeing a huge piece of why Cody chose this, why Cody made this decision. It was not a quote unquote calling. It was this is what my family is doing. And if I want to be in their lives, and I'm 19, 20, so it's a little scary to kind of go out on your own. Like, this is what I'm going to do. And then it makes a lot of sense, right? With the whole knife in the kidneys and, everything that I've sacrificed. I'm sure Cody feels now like I made a choice, very young that maybe wasn't mine.
Maybe, yeah. And it's caused a lot of pain.
Yeah.
It's caused a lot of pain to the whole family. Yeah. It's unclear because then towards the end of the episode, Cody talks about how much Wynn and Curtis loved horses, loved working on the ranch together, and had that really strong bond. So I don't know how much this polygamy thing got in between the two of them.
But they showed photos of Wynn and Curtis together. And they showed this photo from Curtis being, I want to say 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, okay, do you not have any other photos? Like maybe that's the best one that captures them at the best. Or are there no recent photos because maybe Curtis would come by, but Wynn wouldn't talk to him? I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. But I think that it is very, very telling that, if you're a born again Christian, if you have a different belief system, that you are out of Wynn's good graces. And then we also saw this with Michael, Michael was married, but he didn't want to be a polygamist, but he felt all this pressure.
Yeah.
And I think he also was like, oh crap, this is what my dad really wants. So maybe I can ride this out and pretend I'm looking.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to.
Yeah.
Because, and also the other things, I don't know how much older the older brother was from Cody, but if Cody was 19 on this mission, the older brother, like, was he already married with his first wife when dad decided to do all this? And right? Like, did he then, the oldest brother, need to jump on board too? I mean, the whole thing is just, I wish he would talk more about that.
Yeah, we don't know much about the oldest brother, although I believe the oldest brother, his son is that guy, Ben Brown, the comedian who has been telling his story, how he was basically, trafficked as a worker on the ranch and had to escape so that he could like go to college and have a life or whatever.
Yeah. Just like with the daughters of the cult, the LeBaron, right? They were put to work from a very early age. Same thing. Yeah. No life, 14 hours a day, all of it.
So yeah, it's very, very complicated. So anyway, Janelle, that we cut to her, so the family gets up there in a reasonable amount of time. We didn't see any breaking down of cars or big delays. Somehow they got there pretty quickly. I don't know. Maybe they flew them into, somewhere and they rented cars. I don't know. So they all arrive at the ranch and Janelle is telling Cody's mom, Janelle. I don't know how her name is pronounced exactly.
It's Janelle.
Janelle is telling a story about how she and Wynn were both raised in Lovell. Now, I looked this up. So Lovell, Texas, which is, where this
Lovell, Wyoming.
I'm sorry. I'm missing Texas. Lovell, Wyoming, where Cody was, I don't know if he was born there, but he was raised there. He probably was born there because his parents were born and raised there. The population of Lovell is 2,271 people.
Oh, God, that's not a lot of people. Ugh.
And then the closest, town is Powell, which is like 22 miles away. And that's where, when they go to the trophy shop where Mary used to work, I think that's in Powell. That's like going into town, to go into town to get stuff. And the population of Powell is 6,418.
Oh, my God. Yeah. We always laugh at Ukiah because it's 15,000 and how small.
I think it's more than that now.
I think it's 16, 20? Remember? No, it's 16.
Oh, yeah. We were driving.
Yeah, because we said it never changes.
Yeah. So, yeah, these are small towns.
Yeah.
So anyway,
really small.
Janelle said that, I think Wynn was several years older than her because he was out of high school by the time she was in high school. So that's a little weird. Maybe not on level. But I don't know. Some friend wanted to get together with Janelle and he sent Wynn over to her house to ask if she would go out with his friend. And she says, well, actually, I want to be with you.
And she's like, oh, I'm so bold. You didn't know this.
Her man. Yeah.
She did. And what annoyed me is then the story ended. I'm like, well, there's more to this. Like, what happened? What happened with the friend? Like, did Wynn say yes right away and you started dating? That was it. Like, what happened to the friend? Like, does the friend talk to you now? Does the friend hate you? Because this is a small town, right? It's 2,000 some odd people. Like, did this create a rift with the friend?
Impact.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, hello, I need more information.
She probably did go on, but the editors,
they're like, oh, let's cut
it off.
I don't know, but
yeah. So Cody's describing Wynn. He says he was an adventurous man's man, and he was getting towards the end of his life, and he didn't really want anyone caring for him. His quality of life was not good. So for Wynn, this might not have been the worst thing. And like you said, it was probably accelerated by the death of his son. So then we go over to Cheryl's house, and Cheryl married Wynn when she was 48. And they tell this goofy story again. Janelle says she knew Cody and Mary when they got married. They were her token polygamous friends.
Okay, and but not Mary and Mary's family, right? The one that you were married into.
Yeah, she never mentions that these were in-laws.
But the thing is that she makes it seem like these are these two people that she knows.
Her only friends.
It's like, you married into a polygamous family.
Yeah, you were married to a polygamist.
Yes. So you knew about it.
Or maybe he wasn't but everybody else was. Everyone else in Mary's family was. So, yeah, why did Janelle marry a polygamist?
Well, even if the family was like, hey, you choose your own path, and Mary followed it, and Mary's sister followed it, and some of these other things.
Maybe the brother didn't.
But at the same time, it's like, but Mary and Cody aren't the only two polygamists. You act like this is this novel friendship. It's like, you knew a lot of them.
Yeah, and she acted like, it was like, oh, my token polygamist friends invited me to their wedding. No, you were there with your husband, who was the brother of the bride. I mean,
yes.
I don't know why Janelle she does not want to admit she was married to Mary's brother.
Yeah.
God, I don't know what happened with all that.
I mean, I think she hates Mary that much. I don't know. And maybe things were so rough in the beginning with Mary and Janelle because maybe Mary was pissed at Janelle. Maybe she was pissed because it seems a little bit like Janelle was married and then she met, and then she met Cody. And so if you're Mary, like, not only did she dump your brother, but now she's wanting your man.
Right.
And she's taking your man's attention.
Right.
So,
and the reason why she dumped your brother might have been because she was in love with Cody.
Yeah.
So didn't start out on the right foot.
No.
Never got back.
No.
On the right foot. So Janelle says she was always intrigued by Western life. And Cody said, well, why don't you go up to my dad's ranch? Which I thought, okay, so let's stop right there. They're friends, I guess, at this point, or kind of quasi in-laws.
Yeah, they're in-laws.
Yeah, they're in-laws. They are in-laws. I don't know if she's still married to the brother or not, but they're in-laws. And so Janelle goes up there, I guess, by herself. I don't know if Cody came. She doesn't even know these people. She just showed up on Wynn and Janelle's doorstep and said, hi, I'm friends with your son, Cody. Can you show me the Western way of living?
Yes. It makes no sense.
Makes no sense. I'm sure Cody went with her. And then she said she went a few times and she started telling her mother, Cheryl, about it. And Cheryl got concerned because she thought, are these polygamous people going to like kidnap you or brainwash you or something like that? So, so she goes up there with Janelle to visit them. And I don't know how long this took, but then Wynn and Cheryl announced that they were getting married. And I don't know if that happened after the first visit or seemed to happen kind of quickly.
Yes.
And then 4 months later, Cody and Janelle got married.
4 months?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that. 4
months after they announced, Wynn and Cheryl announced they were getting married.
Okay. And the way they made it seem like, oh, Cheryl just was, they fell in love. They saw each other and fell in. I mean, Wynn must be quite the man, because it seems like all these women just fall in love with him and are, like, I want him, and so, okay. But yeah, the whole thing sounds
the whole thing is weird. And they're not telling us the truth.
They're not. There's more to this.
There's way more
skirting
to this
around
story.
it. And
there's way more to the, Mary and Mary's brother and Janelle's story. There's way more to this story. We might never know.
Yes.
So they say that Cheryl is really not doing well, and they think that it's because she didn't have a lot of time with Wynn. She was only with him for 20 years, whereas Janelle was with him for 50 plus years,
which is so stupid. I don't know. I mean, okay, I understand it in theory, but it's a little insulting, right? Like, this woman is upset and sad because Wynn was such an amazing human being that she was so sad she didn't get 23 extra years with him or something. I don't know.
I get the feeling that Cheryl is like the Robin of that family. I feel like she came in and obviously they were just instantly smitten with each other and had this whirlwind thing. And I think that in the last 20 years, I think that Cheryl has kind of been
his preferred lady.
Wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what you're seeing, but they don't ever say that.
Right.
You know.
Right. So this is then Cody starts to get real personal about he says, you know, that Wynn was a tough father and he really didn't feel that loved when he was little.
Yeah.
And, you know, Cody was big on athletics. He wanted to get, you know, all the accolades. And Wynn just wanted him working on the ranch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he didn't care about whatever Cody was doing in school. And just backing up a little bit, I think in the middle of this,
the cold and the Cody being
maybe
cold.
I'll finish with that part.
Okay.
There's another one. So anyway, he was always working on the ranch, and Cody hated it. And he said from the time he was 8 years old, he just always was in a constant state of being cold.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like 28 degrees below, you know, in the winter, and they're out there driving cattle, and he's just always cold. So he talks about how when he was a freshman, he lettered in wrestling as a freshman, which, you know, is a really big deal. And he said on his birthday, he got a box in the mail from the store where, you know, they sell these, the high school Letterman jackets. And he got all excited because he thought he was getting a Letterman jacket. And it was actually coveralls.
Mm.
And he said it broke his heart. And, you know, he was very bitter that, you know, his father had no regard for athletics. But then I don't know when he realized this, but he said he realized that he did care about him because he cared about making sure he was warm,
mm-hmm.
which is a stretch.
Yeah, that feels like a stretch. I think he was sick of you bitching. And I bet you he always gives people new coveralls. Like, let's get going. Either coveralls or dirty.
You need coveralls to be working out on the ranch.
And so it's kind of sad because you get the sense of like this, Cody has spent his entire life trying to get his father's love and approval.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, very much so. And he says the ranch forced him into manhood.
Mm-hmm.
He's so grateful about that. I don't really know about that. But I think interspersed with him talking about his dad is this scene where they go to the cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have these boots. And I guess, you know, it kind of symbolizes dad, you know, obviously always wear boots. He was a hard worker. And it was like, you know, you die with your boots on kind of guy. So they have all the grandkids, like, you know, write something about grandpa.
Yeah. Can I just say something? I don't know if you caught this because when I was watching it was, so Janelle says, okay, we're all going to sit down and you're all going to write a note that you're going to read aloud to when we go to grandpa's, right? Mm-hmm. And I swear to God, one of the kids said, do we have to? And I remember thinking myself going, you know, that's a lot to put on a bunch of kids. Like, you know, Savannah's supposed to come up with something meaningful to say about Wynn and then read it out loud.
Don't even know him, you know.
But it's a lot. It's like forcing people like to talk or when they don't want to or share your feelings when it's a little bit like if there's never this if you would like to or if you're moved to. I was just like, I'm with the kids on that. I was just like, do we have to?
Yeah.
It's just weird.
So, that Mary talks about how, I guess, her dad was very close with Wynn, and it comforts her that, you know, they're together again, you know, whatever, talking shit.
Mm-hmm.
Janelle says that she used to tell him to go to hell, and he'd say, I'll see you there.
Because Wynn was a big, fat sexist pig.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Into patriarchy.
Yeah.
Sexist, you know, women have their obvious polygamist, old school polygamist, whatever.
Yeah.
So Janelle, I'm sure butt heads with him quite a bit.
But it's also cute. I mean, this is the thing. I don't want to be mean to the dead, but there's also this piece of, I hate it when people rewrite history. It's like, it's all being rewritten now of like, oh, what a great guy. It's like, no, he was sexist and you didn't like that, Janelle. And it did bother you. And yeah, he might have all these great qualities, but let's not pretend that there were things about him that were hard to deal with.
Yeah, it's problematic because look, men of a certain age from a certain generation, good luck finding one who didn't have some degree of sexist tendencies. Our grandfather, you know, our paternal grandfather had some issues.
But our father, very different. Like our father is, I mean, he's 80 now. So I don't know how old Win was when he died or what year
he was around 78 or 80, somewhere around there.
So, you know, he's Win's what, 5, 6, 7 years older than our father.
Generation,
same generation. And our father is, if anything, our father taught us about mansplaining. Our father knew about mansplaining before mansplaining was a thing.
He warned us about
He warned us of it and just, you know, told us that men are going to talk to you like you don't know what you're doing, but you do. So just ignore them and you know you're better. So just keep going.
Yeah, I guess, forget what I said.
No, but I think some of it is right. The culture, the Wyoming, you know, our father was raised in California. So, I mean, I think it's those pieces, but and I think that, you know, when someone passes away, I'm just always, it's like, let's look at them as a full human being with good and bad and foibles and this and that, right? Like,
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying is that, Win had all this problematic behavior, but I'm sure he loved his children. I'm sure he had good qualities. He loved his wives.
I'm sure he didn't. He obviously was an incredibly hard worker. I don't think it's very easy to be have a ranch or a farm or anything.
Trying to provide for his family.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Psych Legal Pop will be back after these messages. Hey there, it's Tess Brigham, the therapist half of Psych Legal Pop. In addition to being a therapist, I'm also a coach, speaker, and author. And if you go to my website, you'll find courses, ebooks, and worksheets for sale. If you're feeling a bit lost, overwhelmed by life's twists and turns, or you're just simply stuck, I've got you covered. Head over to my website, www.tessbrigham.com, for courses, ebooks, and worksheets tailored to help you unlock your true potential. From relationship struggles to career transitions, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. So stop looking outside of yourself at friends, family, social media for the answers. The answers to all your questions are inside of you. My products and services are the first step in uncovering your true you.
Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, you know, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fanfellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fanfellas wherever you get your podcasts.
When they go to the grave, Cody makes a very emotional, you know, he's written down some words, makes a very emotional, I thought I wrote it down.
Well, he talks about, thank you, Dad, for, you know, getting me those coveralls so I wouldn't be cold. You know, I mean, that's the memory that he's sharing the memory with us. And that's his memory of his father, which really kind of symbolizes, I've spent my entire life trying to get my father's attention. And, you know, in fact, he always did love me. He just didn't tell me. And kind of like, I wish I had seen that then.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I'd seen that the coveralls were a form of love.
Right.
As opposed to being angry at him all the time or wasting years desperately trying to make you happy.
Right.
Which happens to a lot of kids. I mean, you know, it's very easy to misinterpret people when you're young, misinterpret motivations and what they mean. And you're young, you're hormonal, you're sensitive, right? Like it's part of the package.
Yeah. Everyone has a different love language.
Yes. Wynn's was coveralls.
Wynn's that would be
acts of service.
Acts of service. Yeah.
Yeah. Not words of affirmation.
Not words of affirmation. No, that's what Cody's love language is. Okay. So then I think they go into town, into Powell.
Yes.
And this is random, but they're going to go back to the trophy engraving shop that Mary worked at. Now, I remember from the book, they talked about how I think Janelle got her this job. And so I guess this must have been, I'm confused about when they made the move from Utah to Wyoming. And did Cody and Mary get married in Utah or did they get married in Wyoming? I'm not really sure. I'm fuzzy on that timeline. But anyway, at one point, you know, they're in Wyoming, all of them. He might not have even been married to Janelle yet. Maybe Janelle was just living there because her mom was there now.
Or, you know, married to Mary's brother.
Yeah. Who knows? I don't know what these people are doing. But anyway, I believe Janelle got Mary this job at this trophy shop. And John and Terry are the owners. And Mary says that for years and years, Cody always told her that she needed to tell them that she was a polygamist. And basically, she didn't want to. She was scared. You know, they couldn't be out back then in that small little community, and she didn't think it was safe or whatever. But I guess they kind of knew.
No, they knew. They definitely knew.
Yeah. After a while, they figured it out. Because Mary started working there 2 years before Leon was born. And then even after Leon was born, they would maybe like send food or cookies or sweets home with her. And they would say, give these to the kids. So they knew that there was more than one.
Well,
kid.
and it was also blown up because apparently someone went to the owners, Terry and what's the other name?
John
and Terry, and said, "Oh, Cody Brown is a polygamist. He was talking about it, you know, downtown, probably
to anyone who would listen.
Anyone who would listen, you know, he was telling them about how he's a polygamist and he's, you know, a victim and the world's against him and all this other kind of stuff. And that's where they got the confirmation. So, and I mean, listen, that's such a tough thing because, you know, it's not on Mary. It's like anything else in life. Like it's Mary's choice how much she wants to share with her employers. Your employer does not need to know what you're doing in your private life, number one. And then, so to feel all that pressure, but at the same time, what are the owners supposed to do? Like, you know, they have to wait for her to say something. Right. You know, they don't have a choice.
They're not going to, I think
out her.
It's illegal to ask an employee about their religious affiliations or whatever. So anyway, again, you know, we got to have some kind of scene in there. And then Mary makes arrangements for them to go out to their old houses. And I looked at these houses and they look pretty nice. I don't know if they've been refurbished because the way McKelty talked about, you know, growing up in Wyoming, it was like they were dirt poor. Those were her words. Yeah. And, you know, they had to eat leftover bread from that bakery where they had child labor, slave labor. You know, she made it sound so destitute and they were so poor. But looked like, I couldn't tell if it was 2 or 3 little kind of prefab type little homes. I don't know. It wasn't what I had envisioned.
What I'm so confused about is the timeline, because the way they make it seem like they had been in Utah for a long time when the show started. But
I think it had only been like 5 years.
Yeah. So because when you see the photos of the kids putting their hands on, I'm like, oh, is that Gabe? Like Gabe must have been really little or something. I think
Gabe and Savannah were the two born
in Utah.
So
maybe there was someone else that I was like, God, you're little. Like
I think it was probably Isabel.
okay, or maybe Peyton or something. I was just like, some of them seemed really young. And I was like, I always was under the impression that Wyoming was, a couple years in the beginning and that the bulk of it was in Utah.
No.
But really, they had only been in that house. So if you do think about it, it's like, God, that really does suck for those kids. I mean, they had just only been there 5 years and they get ripped away again.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's when I think Janelle resisted moving to Utah and didn't move to Utah and stayed in Wyoming for a while, I think until they got that Lehi house. Yeah, interesting. But I also noticed too that during this whole time where they're talking about their past life in Wyoming, obviously Robin had nothing to do with any of this. And both while they're in Wyoming and really when they're on the couch, like talking about it, she looks very uncomfortable. Because she literally has nothing to say.
Yeah.
She wasn't there, she has nothing to add. So, yeah, and they show that they poured this concrete slab in the back and, they put all the kids' names and handprints and the date. And they said that to them, it felt like the beginning of them going public. They put it out there.
Well, I also want to say
family.
That wasn't on a sidewalk.
No, it wasn't in downtown Powell.
It wasn't in downtown Powell on a sidewalk. I just want to say that was in your backyard.
Yeah.
How many people are going to see that? I mean, really?
I know.
It was just a little bit like, wait, that's not really out. And the other thing is I'm shocked that it hasn't been poured over, that someone hasn't come along and been like, who the fuck are all these kids?
If I moved in there, I'd be like, I don't want this.
Yeah, who's Logan? Yeah.
Handprints in here. Yeah, let's pour over this or rip this out or something.
Yeah, so it seems kind of odd if they would redo the whole house and make it look super cute and then not pour the concrete.
Not get rid of that.
So I don't know. Maybe the houses were cuter than Mykelti, or maybe Mykelti's comparing her life today, semi-quasi celebrity, C-level celebrity versus where she was as a child. And it seemed like dirt poor. I don't know.
I mean, I've heard other people, other family members say the same thing, that it was a real struggle. And I think that's why Cody really wanted to move to Utah. I think that sales job, was lucrative for him.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
And so that's why he wanted to move, but I don't know. He and Janelle weren't in a good place and she didn't want to move. I don't know. I thought that Savannah and Gabriel were born in Utah, but then I'm thinking back when they were walking up to those houses, I thought Gabriel said, "Oh, I remember this part."
That's why I thought. Yeah, that's why I thought Gabe was there, and he had memories, so he had to be of a certain age. So, if you really do think of poor Gabe, like he's young and he gets moved from Wyoming to Utah. And then he's 10, 11, gets ripped out again, moves to Vegas, and then ripped out again during high
15,
school.
He's only 15
and to go to Arizona. Like, no wonder Gabe has, feelings about things. I'm like, I'm with you, Gabe. Justice for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then they want to pay tribute to Curtis. So they go down to this area near the river, and Cody calls it the old cabin and corral. And then he explains that Curtis was the 7th kid out of 10 of Wynn's children. And Cody was 11 when Curtis was born. And Curtis embraced the cowboy lifestyle. Said Wynn really loved Curtis, probably thought he would embrace their faith as well. And Cody's very sad talking about all of this. And so then all the kids, they have all these bandanas that I guess Curtis used to like to wear bandanas. So they took bandanas and they tied them to the fence around the corral. Again, all this is very sad.
Yeah. So I can't remember what triggered me the second time to cry. I know the Wynn dying and thinking about dad, but I think it was just so awful. I think, you know what it was? It was seeing Grandma Janelle and knowing that, yes, she has 10 children, but losing a child is the most horrible thing that can happen to you.
It doesn't matter how many kids you have.
Yeah. And I just, in that moment, you see her and you're like, God, I feel for you. This must be awful.
So Cody goes back inside to chat with her to see how she's doing, how she's coping. And I thought this was interesting. He says, "So have you been busy?" She says, she's going through a box of, she's looking for a photo.
He gives her an assignment. Get me a photo, Mom.
Can you find that photo? So she's, you know how moms are. You give them an assignment and like they have to finish it.
Yeah.
So she's looking for this photo. And he says, "Have you been busy?" And she says, "Well, I'm the grandma of 70 some odd children. So of course, grandchildren. So of course I'm busy."
Mm-hmm.
And she says, sometimes she feels lonely. And he asks her, he says, "Do you want to come and stay with us for a while in Las Vegas?" And she says, "No."
She's like, "I know how chaotic it is there.
No, I'm fine right here in my peaceful little house." And she says she's been going through Curtis's poetry, and it's really making her sad. And she says it was much worse to lose Curtis, and she didn't seem to get over him. And it's like, well, you'll never get over that.
Yeah, because I feel like the attitude was when Cody walked in was very much like, "Oh, are you lonely? Like, do you miss Dad?" Like that would be the thing that she would. And I was like, no, like she knew she knew her husband was going to pass away. She knew, like, the timing's terrible, but like this Curtis thing, this is the thing that's killing,
that's
this
out
is
of
the thing
nowhere.
That's really doing her in. So
I know. So they're just kind of talking, and they seem to have a genuinely, warm, good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's when Cody tells us about how after Curtis's death, they were out with the horses, and the horses were just going crazy. Like they knew something was wrong. And same thing happened after Wynn's death, because, they both really loved the horses and, bonded over the horses. And then they show Cody riding a horse. I don't know who was next to him.
Solomon.
No, next to him.
Oh, okay.
On a different horse. There was somebody. But he's riding with Solomon, which I thought was very cute.
Mm-hmm.
But, he's just so favors Solomon. I mean, he's not doing that with any of his other kids.
Yeah. Well, of course. He's the little one. The little one.
Yeah. He can't talk yet. Can't talk back.
Thanks, Cody's great.
So then the next scene, Robin is telling everyone that we've been talking a lot about what would happen if Cody died.
Yes. This big issue. You know who's been talking about it? Cody. Cody's been talking about what's going to happen when he dies. No one else is thinking about it.
No. Because he's all worried about his legacy.
Yes.
He doesn't want them all to split up, because then everyone is going to be like, see, like, because Cheryl and Janelle are talking about how, obviously they've had their difficulties, but I think they are pretty close. And
they talked about what they went to the movies. They went to church
together the next day after he died, because they couldn't ever leave him alone. So they could never go to church together. Someone always had to be with him.
But if there's a third wife, what is she doing?
I don't know. We don't even know if she's still there.
Yeah. Okay.
She may have left.
Or maybe she passed on and was I don't know.
I don't think she's there.
Mm-hmm.
But and so they seem to be bonding, and I know Cheryl passed away a couple years ago. Is Janelle still alive?
Oh, I don't know. So Mary's mom passed away.
Yeah,
I remember that.
And then Janelle's
but Annie's still alive.
Yeah, Cheryl passed away. I remember it was like during COVID, because I remember, Cody with all of his COVID, whatever, no one can leave the house or go anywhere, do anything. I remember he and Janelle drove to Wyoming, I believe, for Cheryl's funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think he went to Bonnie's funeral too. But then I remember someone saying something about how Dad made somebody miss Grandma's funeral. I remember this from a show on this season.
Yeah, so she didn't share a reason for her mom's passing, but Janelle's mother had been ill for a long time. So this was December 2020, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So she died at the end of 2020.
Now is Janelle still with us?
Let's see.
I also think that Mary's mom died during that COVID time too.
Oh, I see something here from All About the Tea. Kody Brown's mother predicted her son's marital demise.
Oh. Oh my gosh.
This is from November 22.
I think she might still be alive.
Yeah, she might be. I'm not seeing when I Googled Janelle, it came up right away that she had passed away. But it's not coming up as her.
Yeah, I think Janelle's still alive.
Yeah, I think that basically, you know what it is? I'm looking at the article now. I think they're referring back. They're just trying to make an article together, but they're referring back to the mother-in-law invasion episode when Janelle was talking about you can't favor and how it, knowing that Cheryl was favored and how that affected her and how she feels and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so I think she might still be alive.
Yeah, I think it would come up if she wasn't. I know people are probably screaming at us right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
It's hard to keep track. So, yeah, and in fact, in this episode, they have some flashbacks to that Mother's Day, where they had the mother-in-law invasion. And Janelle is saying, I had no idea the pain plural marriage would create. And then Christine asks, what changed? And Cheryl says, I just knew that it was supposed to be. And now they're close. So I don't know. Who knows? I'm sure they had problems. But, these women, they're a lot older. They're very isolated. Let's be frank. They're out there in the middle of nowhere. They're not going to leave those homes, and they're getting older, and so it's a little bit different than the others, their situation.
Yeah.
So
I think Grandma Janelle is alive. I do not see anything.
Yeah,
it's a lot of Janelle's mom's funeral, all of these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why Sister Wives fans slammed Kody for letting Mary drive solo as mom died. Of course, as Mary's mother's dying, he's ditched her yet again.
Well, that's not surprising.
Par for the course. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
now who's taking care of Grandma Janelle? If Cheryl is gone,
I don't know.
We don't know where this other wife is. And
they must have had to sell the ranch, right? Who's working it?
Yeah.
Or because someone has to. Sorry, I assume at the end of Wynn's life that he wasn't out there all the time, doing all that, but he must have had a staff of people. So who's managing that staff? So she had to have gone because it has to keep running if they're going to have it. So I bet you they sold it.
Yeah. I don't know. She's living with one of her other children.
Well, that's possible.
Maybe the oldest son, maybe.
Yeah, Kody asked her again, do you want to come live with us now? And she's like, it's okay.
She's like, I'm good. You know.
I'm good. I'm good. Don't worry about it. I'll just stay here. And then Kody finds out she's moved in with one of the other kids.
Yeah. So then the episode ends with, I think this is Kody who said this, and I didn't write it down, but I think he says he wants the commitment ceremony to be meaningful. Back to the commitment ceremony. Because when a spouse dies, none of this other stuff matters.
Yes.
If only it were that simple.
Yeah. Well, it's true. That's always what you go back to. So if we're going to learn anything from this episode, it is if you have someone in your life who you think, thinking about and getting older, don't hesitate. Don't drag your feet. Just book the plane ticket, get in the car, go. Because you'll be happy you were able to say goodbye in the way in which you wanted to say goodbye or have a happy memory for it. So.
Yes.
Well, yes.
Next week, get heavily into the commitment ceremony.
Yeah, we have 2 more episodes for the season, right? So we have the next week is the commitment. It's sort of the pre-commitment ceremony, all the hubbub. And the dress fiasco. And then there's finally the goddamn commitment ceremony and the mission statement and all that kind of stuff. And then it's the tell-all.
All right.
Well, yeah, we're getting there. Man, we're almost at season 7. Woohoo!
Yeah, and season 7 is like not even halfway through the whole.
Catfishing is season 8 or season 9? Season 9.
I have no idea off the top of my head.
Okay,
but yeah, things. More interesting things I think start happening as like the kids start getting married and things start happening and. Yeah, and then there's a whole catfishing thing. Then there's the whole move to Flagstaff. There's so much coming up, and I don't know in what year or we'll finish this. But.
Yeah, yeah, and then there's a bunch of episodes I've never seen. I've been saving them because Sister Wives Rewind, I'm going to freshly see some of these things because when we started recapping the show and talking about it in the beginning when we started the podcast, I had watched a few episodes here and there. I always knew what the storylines were. I always knew what was going on, but I didn't watch the show on a regular basis. And then when we got into it, I started binging it. And then I think I got somewhere to season 7 and then we decided to do the rewind. And I was like, okay, here we go.
Okay, so this is exciting.
Ooh, this is very exciting. It is. But I feel like I've seen season 7 because that's when Maddie and Caleb start dating and she goes to them and tells them about it. And, what is it, McKelty? I saw scenes from McKelty's wedding and all of the lead up to it. I mean, people talk about this stuff so much and nothing happens in Sister Wives. It's so the big things, like I know all about apparently there was some taco bar at McKelty and Tony's wedding. That was a big controversy.
400 tacos.
Yeah, something like that. Like I know the broad strokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us on our journey. We will continue on Tuesdays with Sister Wives, and Thursdays we're doing documentaries and other shows that are not Sister Wives.
Yes.
And please, if you haven't already, if you could subscribe to the podcast, and if you would like to help support our podcast, if you could write, or you don't even have to write, just give us a 5-star.
Yeah, just the 5 stars is very, very helpful.
Just the 5 stars is very helpful because the more ratings you get, it's not even actually the numbers of like 4 or 5 stars, whatever. It's how many reviews you have. Mm-hmm. So the more how many they count. Like if you just go on there and click 5 stars, that's a review.
Yes,
you don't have to write anything unless you want to. But just
unless you want to write something nice.
Yeah. And if you don't want to write something nice, don't bother. Why would you waste your time if you don't like
because they want us to know that they hate us. They really want us to want us to make sure that we know.
I don't know why you would use your precious time on this earth to do that. But
go visit your family.
Yes, go be with your family. God, you never know what's going to happen. So, yes, if you can just give us a 5-star rating and also, share this episode or any episode with someone who enjoys Sister Wives, who might like it, might want to subscribe. You can contact us on social media. We're at Psych Legal Pop on Instagram and TikTok. And we also have an email, which is psychlegalpoppodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to just, write us directly about anything.
Yeah, give us that review.
Yeah. Tell us how you really feel.
I'm going to yell at you in the review, and then I'm going to email it to you and make sure you two know. Yes, exactly.
No, it's only a few people.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of nice messages.
It's only a few bad apples. We've gotten tons of very nice, very sweet. I mean, we don't even know each other, in real life.
Yeah.
But I know I've listened to some podcasts for 10 years and you do feel like you know the person.
Oh, yeah.
After a while. So
it's a little frightening. Yeah. Because Steve's always asking me, because I listen to a lot of shows like Watch What Crappens and Reality Gaze. And I listen to this other show called Fixing Famous People. And it's also 2 gay guys. Mm-hmm. And Steve's like, which show is this? How many of these shows are you listening to? But yeah, I mean, these people, you feel like they're your best friends,
Yeah, no. And sometimes I'll just say, well, I heard my friend say, and it's just someone on a podcast, because I don't want to have to explain to somebody that, no, this person's not actually my friend, but they might as well be because I know everything about their lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. No, thank you. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. All right.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Steven here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Steven will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellas wherever you get your podcasts.
Pepsi Prebiotic Cola in original and cherry vanilla. That Pepsi taste you love, with no artificial sweeteners, only 30 calories, just 5 grams of sugar, and 3 grams of prebiotic fiber. That great Pepsi taste with even more to love. Pepsi Prebiotic Cola. Unbelievably Pepsi.